All right, National College Football Roundup. Number 1, Tennessee went to Athens, Georgia,
Woo!
and got smacked by the Dogs. 23-17 Georgia. And if you watch that game, was not that close. This was a dominant performance, man, especially that Georgia defense. They had a day because Tennessee was, all those explosive plays we've seen them have this season. They had very few. They had none, right? Like they did. I think Jalen Hyatt had one 28-yard catch. Tennessee's longest run was 11 yards. They had one play of 20 plus yards.
It's
One.
crazy.
I mean, so we wondered, okay, if Georgia eliminates the big plays, can Tennessee, can they go methodically down the field, put a drive together, and punch it in the end zone? The answer to that question was no. No, they could not.
Yeah, that's impressive by Georgia. Like if you can go out there and do that to like number 1 offense in the country, number 2 maybe they're right there at the top. Not sure what they were going into the game. They've been at number 1 for spells during the season. Right, it could be done. All right, I'm told all the time about with these new offenses and the way that people do things and all whatever
The
that
RPO.
so much more difficult. I agree. It's difficult. It is. There's no doubt about it, but it can be done. It can be done. And yeah, I understand Georgia's got some incredible football players, but it can be done. You can play really good defense in college football. So we will get there.
Hendon Hooker, he wasn't at his best, right? But I mean, it's hard to be at your best when you're feeling that much pressure. Pocket was collapsing, and some of it was his own doing. Some of it, like, ball's got to come out, man. And Georgia, I mean, they did it early and they did it throughout the game. They said, hey, we're going to heat them up.
Yeah.
And play man behind it. And like you said, they got some absolute freaks in that secondary. And the Tennessee wide receivers could not get separation from those guys. They couldn't, but
it's tough whenever you're used to seeing guys with
wide
separation
open
and wide open, and now all of a sudden you've got it's like claustrophobic in the pocket. Plus, everywhere you look, it looks like you can't even see any white out there. They're just blanketed by everyone. That's not a fun day playing quarterback, but that's what it's like at the next level, pretty much week in, week out. That's what it ends up looking like.
Yeah, but Hooker sacked 6 times, got hit a lot more, and I thought the interception he threw was a huge play in the game. Felt like Tennessee was going to get points there, but throws it up for Tillman. And how many times has one of his wide receivers come down with that this season? And Ringo said, you know what? I'll take that. It was a heck of a play, but man, the amount of pressure, that was the thing that stood out, dude, was that the amount of pressure Georgia's defense dialed up, and Tennessee just never could make them pay for being that aggressive. Never could make them pay.
Yeah. I'll tell you that that fan base, that was wild. That was an awesome atmosphere. They were bringing it the entire game.
It looked and sounded like coming through the TV, because I DVR'd it and then watched it. I was like, oh my God, like it sounded loud. And we talked about Tennessee not having explosive plays. Turns out it was for Georgia to have them all.
Yeah.
I mean, Stetson Bennett, man, he's got to be one of the
national champion ever, right?
Stetson, our boy. You took the words right out of my mouth. He is one of the most disrespected good quarterbacks that we've had in a long time. And he had some beautiful deep balls in this game. Continues to use his legs. Like, that dude can run. I mean, that little white boy can run.
Yep.
But, he had the early touchdown, rushing touchdown. Unless my eyes are fooling me, He looked like the best quarterback on the field. Now he was way more comfortable than the other guy, and
right.
but
That matters, and that
looked
environment
confident.
mattered.
He looked confident. He was decisive with the ball. I thought he was really good, man.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not the first time he's played in some high level football games against some really good teams and performed really well. Look at some of the throws that kid made in the national championship game were incredible, and he still doesn't get like there's the big conversation during the offseason was were they going to replace him? And here he is yet again, just marching along, winning big games, no big deal.
Yep. But I think this was a great reminder for people. It's hard to go beat the most talented team in the country on their own field.
Yeah.
This just did.
Especially on the week where you replace them at number 1 and the committee bumps them back to number 3, and every fan and every player and every coach felt disrespected. That was the perfect storm. Like, I know it would have been like a great environment anyways if Georgia was 1 and Tennessee was 2, but like that still, they dumped some fuel on the fire.
Yeah. No, it was and that weather got bad in the second half, and that it was like, okay, is Tennessee going to make a comeback? And then it started dumping rain a little bit. I was like, okay, I think this, man, that looked like a fun place to be, though.
Yeah, they loved it. That was awesome.
Just dripping wet Kirby Smart in slow motion. Yeah, that's the stuff. You got anything else on that game? Georgia, I mean, there's no doubt who the best team in the country is. And maybe we should have known. Hey, when did they take a single transfer? They lost all those dudes off that defense.
I don't know.
And unless I am just not remembering I don't think they took a single big time transfer that is contributing their team. Kirby Smart said, no, we know what we got. We feel good about it. And they should. That was dominant.
Yeah. Impressive.
Alabama went to Death Valley and lost in overtime. Now, the last 32-31, LSU gets a massive win. And the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter in this overtime, this was incredible. I mean, if you haven't watched it, go watch it and credit to LSU, because I don't know about you, Ted, but when Bryce Young did that little Houdini escape act and threw it down for that touchdown, what was it, 40-something yards with a little under 5 minutes ago, I was like, there it is. There's the Heisman moment. He's done it again. No chance LSU comes back. And, boy, credit to them. They were able to bounce back from just a spectacular individual play from Young.
Yeah, and, it's I felt like, and I know they got put at number 10. And whenever they got put at number 10, I think a lot of people were like, LSU kind of out of LSU has flown under the radar this year massively. And they've been making strides. If you've just kind of seen and paid attention to what they've done, turned into a pretty daggum good football team. And, that's why this didn't shock me. Like, I really wanted to pick LSU to win this game, but because I've been waiting on Alabama to show up, right, to be what we've come to, expect from Alabama. They just haven't done that consistently this year. And LSU's got some dudes on that team. They always have. I mean, everyone knows that. And Brian Kelly's brought a little bit of discipline, a little bit more intensity to that football team, and you could tell.
Brian Kelly is I feel like that whole thing got off to an interesting start, with the family and the dancing and everything, but they love him now, man. And he's going to be walking around with his sack and a wheelbarrow all week saying, yeah, how you liked it. I loved the decision. I mean, one play from a couple yards away to beat Alabama, you absolutely take it. And now, it was probably the only time my wife has ever been impressed by my football knowledge ever. They got in that formation, tight end started motion. I go, he's going into the flat. It's a pick play, sprint pass right. And she looks at me like, huh? Flat, sprint pass, throws it right to him. She was like, Okay, nice.
Nice.
I was like, well, everyone under the sun runs that 2-point play, but good execution. Nice ball by Jaden Daniels, who was huge, clearly, in this game for him. But I'm guessing old Mason Taylor had himself a night after this game. I know he's a freshman, but had that late touchdown and then the game winner on the 2-point conversion. Have yourself some fun, freshman. Jeez.
Yeah, and another crazy environment where I can imagine there was plenty of opportunities out there to go have a good time post game. That was wild. Those games are fun, man. Like when you've got top 10 matchups in those type of environments, it just hits a little bit different, man. I'm jealous. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Is I'm jealous. Looks incredible.
It looks really fun. I want that.
Yep.
I want it bad. Now, I do think LSU's defense deserves some credit. I thought they played well. Bama moved the ball at times, but to buckle down in the red zone and force field goals like they did, I mean, that was huge, especially late in the game. It's like Bryce Young with the ball, 2-minute drill. I thought they were going to go win the game, but for them to get, to force a field goal, get to overtime, I mean, that was good stuff from that LSU defense. And then Jane Daniels, man, he wasn't perfect, but he was good. That man can run.
It's a factor that really, no matter how good you get defensively, when a quarterback has that ability, it's the ultimate trump card to pretty much anything. Sometimes like the worst thing you can do is cover everybody, which is not a good option defensively. You know what I'm saying? It's like everyone's covered. Okay, I'm just going to go, pull out a 25-yard run up the middle. It's tough. Quarterbacks like that are, the most dangerous thing in college football.
Yeah. And honestly, Alabama, you get one of the 2-point conversions, you win. Right at the and they'll always wonder, like, what if we just would have kicked one?
You live by it, you die by it, right? You got to be comfortable with that. That's the way it's going to go.
Yeah, the one that sent it in overtime would have been the game winner if you just kick one of them. But hey, that's how the cookie crumbles every once in a while. Last game. Gosh, dang it, Texas looked good. That offense, they went to Manhattan, got a win. And, man, it looked like – well, first it looked like Texas was blowing them out, right? And they were up by 3 touchdowns. And then there was a point in the game where you're like, oh, my gosh, are they going to blow a 3-touchdown lead?
Here it comes. We were watching at my house. I kept telling everyone, I was like, here it comes. Don't worry. And right on cue, Texas turns it over. And I thought it was going to happen. I thought Adrian Martinez was going to do it. They couldn't tackle him.
But in credit to Texas's offense, I mean, that first half, buddy,
slicing and dicing.
That Kansas State defense is solid, man. And they were going through them like a hot knife through butter and put 31 on the board. And it should have been more, honestly. Like if Roschon Johnson, remember, they go for it on 4th down. They're going in to score again. And, he fumbles, he gets it punched out. But, I mean, they could have put 40 on him in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Ewers looked better. I'm guessing, he wasn't perfect, but he looked much better than what we saw from him against Oklahoma State and Iowa State. I think he had some great touch throws in this game. I'm guessing whatever was bothering him on his hand is feeling a lot better. But you're right, man. Things got tight there in the 4th quarter. And I was starting to wonder. It's like they're driving. I was like, is Chris Kleiman going to go for 2 and for the win? Like that's where 100%. I was at mentally.
100% he was. That's the only reason in my mind you can account for the way that he handled the clock as they were driving.
It was strange.
He wasn't going to leave any time left. Like this is it. This is the drive.
And Adrian Martinez had avoided the fumbling this season, and he had 2 of them. got the one back, but then
Yeah, when they got that one back, I was like, okay, that was it. They got past the issue. They avoided it. But man, nice play by Texas.
and this is groundbreaking analysis, but Bijan Robinson's really good at football.
He's incredible.
There are sub plays. He looked like he was in fast forward compared to everyone else. We're just like, oh my God. And Deuce Vaughn was great. And I liked some of the stuff. They did some really good stuff to get him involved in the pass game, kind of isolate him. I thought it was good, but man, Bijan he looked awesome. Now, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Adrian Martinez, and I thought he played pretty dang well. But there were some lulls offensively during that game and it looked to me like it still looked like he was not 100% to me with the way that he was kind of moving around. Part of me wonders what happens if they played Will Howard. Is that crazy to say?
Well, no.
What are they redshirting him? Is that what I guess that's what they're trying to say. They're trying to redshirt him this season, so that's why we didn't see any of them. But dude, if you win the game, you're going to go play for a Big 12 championship. Who cares about the damn red shirt? It didn't make any sense to me that we didn't see him at all. Right? Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy.
Okay.
I'm kind of shocked by that. Kleiman playing the long game with Will Howard, I guess. Huh.
They mentioned it on the broadcast. So that's where I was like, okay, but dude, that was a massive game for their ability to go play for a Big 12 championship.
So what all games has he played in this year?
The last two, as far as I know.
I know. I guess
I don't know if he had any mop-up duty earlier in the year, but
so I'm saying if you know you're going to redshirt him, like why would you play a guy mop-up duty early to where you leave yourself no option late if you're in a situation where you have a chance to go play in the Big 12 championship? I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear Kleiman talk a little bit more about that. Maybe it's probably out there and I just haven't found it.
Maybe it's not his choice, Maybe it's Will Howard saying that. I don't know.
I don't know. All right, let's